Well, ho ho ho, and here we are, Christmas mode again in Case Flower School. And again we're kind of fooling you, because this isn't a real live class, it's a pre-recorded live class, which is always a sign that either Deirdre or myself was out the night previous, we weren't fit to doing a live class, and Deirdre said, sure, let's pop up a pre-recorded class and we'll fool them. So big welcome to everybody that is joining us today. Hope everybody is feeling really well, is in happy Christmassy mode. And obviously we want to know who's watching, where are you watching in from, and we might as well ask, what's the weather like? So what's the plan today? So the plan today, or the plan a few weeks ago, because this is obviously pre-recorded, is we're going to show you how to decorate a wreath for Christmas. So what I'm cutting up here is an artificial kind of like holly stem or hypericum berry stem. And you can see out of that one stem, I got like many, 1, 2, 3, 4, I got 8 little pieces. And what I'm now going to do, using a 20 gauge wire, I'm making a hairpin bend and I'm wrapping it around, and I'm going to wire up each of these little pieces individually. So today I'm kind of going for a kind of a blandy coloured gold with a little bit of glitter gold, a little bit of cream, a little bit of natural, a little bit of kind of like a rose gold colour, and a little combination. Not too glitzy, not too blitzy, but hopefully it's going to be nice. Now what I'm also going to use is a glue gun today. And if you often hear me talking about the glue guns, because we buy the glue gun in either Lidl or Aldi, either of them, and they're £9.99. So normally once a month, every 6 weeks or so, you'll see it in the Lidl or the Aldi magazine, where they'll be advertising that they will be selling the glue guns for £9.99 the following weekend. Now some weeks you might see them for £4.99, £5.99. They're too small, them ones. They're mostly good for arts and crafts. Where the glue gun that I'm going to use is an Aldi glue gun. That's what it looks like, right? But a few bits of rubbish stuck to it. The glue stick that I'm using is actually a floral glue stick. So it's not the Aldi glue stick, okay? It's a floral glue stick. And floral glue sticks are waterproof and they work with fresh material. So I'm going to work on this fresh base. So this is what we call a pre-made, you know that way, or a ready-made, spruced up or knobless base. So it is made on what we call a 12-inch work frame. And you can make these yourself. And sure, listen, at this stage you must be worn out watching me. How many different demonstration tutorials have I showed you how to make these bases? And there's anybody watching and they're saying, I didn't see it, pop over to our YouTube channel. So just search up on YouTube, Case Flower School, and there's a free tutorial there showing you step by step how to make up the bases from scratch. But for handiness, the best thing to do for most of you is probably go to your local flower shop or your local garden centre, and you'll be able to buy one ready-made. Now, as I said, it's made on a 12-inch frame, but when I'm demonstrating and showing you how to make them, I get you to come off the frame, and that's what makes them so big. So material-wise, what I'm using, I've showed you the artificial kind of hypericum berry, and I bought that in a wholesaler's called Evergreen Silk Plants. They're up in County Louth in RD. So if somebody there is watching, put the @ sign and then write in Evergreen Silk Plants, okay? So that's the name of the wholesalers, but they sell to the public. So anybody that's watching there, even if you're in the UK, you can go onto their website and you can order all this material. Now they don't do fresh bases, but they actually have this base in artificial. So if you want, wished, you could make an artificial version of it and then you'd have it each year. Now another flower that I'm going to use today from Evergreen Silk Plants are these artificial poinsettias. So they come flat packed like this, and then what you do is you go along and you kind of open out each petal, and they're all individually wired, and you see the way you can kind of give a little bit of shape, a little bit of dimension, and that's the sort of effect you see that you get. Now these are on long stems. I'm just kind of pulling off the twigs on them, or the little stickers, and you could use them for flower arranging if you wished. But I'm going to cut them up and I'm going to use them in my wreath. So I have the 3 of them already opened. I'll probably end up having to fix it. Another item I had was, and I have it prepared in advance just to save a little bit of time, it was a stem of like a gold leaf. And I cut all the leaves off. And so these were the leaves, a little bit of twig on them, okay? And this all, when you see everything I have here, this was all on one stem. Very reasonably priced. I bought it in Evergreen Silk Plants, and I just cut all the leaves up into little individual leaves. Then I bought one stem of this gold berry, slightly different to the cream one, right? And again, I got like about 8 or 9 pieces. And I just put 2 of the leaves together, 1 of the berry together, see like this, just kind of held them together. Got my 20 gauge wires, which you can buy from Evergreen Silk Plants, made what we call a hairpin bend, wrapped it around the end, and I made loads of these little bunches, okay? So that's going to give me a little bit of a texture going through the door wreath as well. So it was 1 stem of the leaf, 1 stem of the berry, cut them all up and combine them together. The other thing I have then is this rose gold, kind of like a fern, okay? It's kind of like it's part of the asparagus family, but it's obviously artificial, okay? And again, all them pieces came on 1 stem. So it was like a triangular, bouncy sort of stem. I cut up all the little pieces individually and I wired them. So it does take a little bit of time, but it's so economical when you do this and you get great value out of it. And then the last thing that I'm going to use, I might add in a few pine cones, are these little cups, okay? So I have 5 of these. Now they came on stalks, like sticks, which you can break off or you can add them back in again. There's a little hole in the end there to stick the stick back in. But I'm actually going to use the glue gun and I'm going to glue these onto the fresh base. And that's why you need the floral glue, because the ordinary glue won't do the job, right? So I'm just going to push them over to one side for the moment. And then bow-wise, I'm going to use this organza ribbon today. So this kind of organza ribbon, it's not cream, it's not gold, it's kind of like a buttery colour. That's probably the only way that I can describe it. It's kind of this buttery colour, right? So I'm going to measure out, you know what I mean, roughly a length of that. It's definitely too long, but I'll cut a bit off it, and I'm going to measure out a second length of it. So I'll cut 2 pieces of that, and we'll just throw that there. So using the organza, I'm using 1 at a time. I'm going to make what I call our collar bow. So you've seen me do this loads of times, okay? Where I pretend that I'm wrapping around somebody's neck, just want to make this a bit bigger. I bring the back part into the front, catch it in the center, and then I get a wire. So with the wire, it's a short piece of wire, 2 or 3 centimeters, and a long piece of wire, the rest of the wire. So you just wrap that around the center. You bring the short piece and the long piece of wire together, pinch them in real tight, and you wrap the long one around the short one a couple of times. And then you're able to go back and you can open out the organza or the tulle, or do you pronounce it tulle? So tulle or tulle, open it out, pull down our 2 little tails, and there is our little organza bow. So now I'm going to make a second one. So again, it's like you're wrapping a scarf around your neck. That's the technique. Or I'd say it's like the breast cancer bow. But if you go to our website, which is www.kaysflowerschool.com, down the end of the page, you'll see blogs. If you click on the blogs, you'll actually find a whole tutorial on Christmas bows. So you can click in there and you can watch all the videos where I go through them a little bit slower. Where this is a live class, that's not really a live class, it's a pre-recorded live class, you know that way. And sure, listen, I could be talking to myself here. So if I'm not talking to myself and there is anybody watching, any chance of commenting below. So again, we're always saying, let us know where you're watching in from and what's the weather like in your part of the world. Now, if anybody has any questions at all, post your questions in the comments, because when we get up out of bed and we sober up and we're back in the land of the living, we will get in and we'll respond to all the comments that's underneath. As I always say, you never know, there could be a giveaway, because we've lots and lots of prizes here at the school that companies are sending out to us, like to give out as freebies or giveaways. Everybody's feeling in that sort of generous humour. So I'm just pulling my 2 tails together there, and I'm going to trim the end of them, that they're nice and neat. And we'll pull these 2 tails together and we'll trim the end of them, that they're nice and neat. So these are my 2 organza bows, 2 nice fluffy bows, okay? So now I have to decide, do I want the bow at the bottom or at the top? Comment underneath, let me know, what way do you prefer it? Do you like your bow at the top or do you like your bow at the bottom? I always like it at the bottom, so I'm going to stick it at the bottom. So I bring the wreath frame over the edge of the table, okay? And the part that you want to work on, so where you want to position your bow, that's the part that should be near your tummy. These 20 gauge wires are nice and strong, okay? So the idea is that the wire will go down through the base, hit a branch that time, we'll straighten them, we'll go again, down, we'll turn it around, down through the base, there we go, position it in place, and your left hand, that finds the wire underneath. It makes what we call a hairpin bend or a little horseshoe bend, and you bend the wire back up into the base, and that secures your bow. Now the 1 bow would have been enough, but I want to be a little bit more luxurious looking, so I'm going to put a second bow on top of it. So this wire is going to go down into a similar spot, just move that out of the way, push it right down on top of it, just makes it that bit fluffier. So use your right hand to kind of adjust your bow, push it down into it. Use your left hand to grab the wire underneath. You make what we call this horseshoe bend or a U-bend, and you stick the wire back up into the base, and that's what it looks like, can you see, with the bow there in position. So now I want to divide up the three kind of like luxury, I'm going to say handmade because I say these were handmade, and I'm just going to take the little tags off them there. We just pull off the made in County Loud tags. We'll just take them all off of there. There we go. Now these stems are a little bit long, so I'm just going to cut them a little bit shorter. They're long, so if you want to use them for flower arranging, you can. And if any of our Module 3 students are watching, they'll do for your wand, so don't throw them out. Now I want to use one of these poinsettias directly opposite that bow. So I'm going to leave the bow facing you. I'm going to have this part opposite my tummy. I'm going to get my stem, stick it down through the spruce, position it, and then with my left hand I'm going to bend up the stem underneath, make that little horseshoe bend, secure it up into the frame, which I've done already, and then I can position the flower and fix it into place. Now I'm going to put another flower on the right hand side and one on the left hand side, and just dividing them up as evenly as I can. So again, just prodding away there, down through the spruce, catching the wire underneath, making the horseshoe bend, securing it up and positioning the flower where you want it. And then spin it around on the table, and then we'll put our third one in. 3 is always a good number. 4 is not a great number. 4 will make a square shape, you know, that way. So yours probably as well to either use 3 or 5. They kind of say uneven numbers. In saying that, if you've ever watched me, you know, I'm inclined to break rules and say your rules are there to be broken. Okay, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to use my little cups, okay? So this will take a little bit of time, so I'm just going to put a bit of glue, just turn it upside down there, put a bit of glue on the end of it. There we go. Deirdre, can you get me another glue stick when you have a second there? Just this glue stick is just running through. And then, so I should have the other glue stick to push in after this one, and that'll kind of hold it in place. And hopefully Deirdre can find the glue sticks for me. So we let our glue kind of get a little bit, kind of cool down just a little bit to get tacky, and then what I'm going to do is press it down, thanks a million. So that's what the glue sticks look like, okay? So just going to press that down there just to kind of hold it in place. Now the great thing about floral glue is that it's waterproof, do you know that way? So what you'll find is, even though the spruce is fresh, okay, it'll work with fresh material. So because I'm after pushing that in there now, oops the daisies, I'm losing me reindeer antlers. Push that in there another bit, there we go. Get our glue onto it. And sure, it'll be all right on the night, isn't it? The usual, you know what I mean, things will go wrong when you want it to go right. So I'm going to press them down there, just hold them for a second, just for them to settle. And I'm just going to get another couple of them there. Just throw it over to me there, Deirdre. So, put a dab of glue on the end of it. There we go.
Wrecking the joint here today.
Well, wrecking the joint, absolutely. There. Do you know what it is? I shouldn't have pushed the glue stick in with the scissors. Do you know that way? I should have let it go through naturally, and that's why I'm having to push it here now. But don't worry, it'll be grand. It's all flying through now. So again, just let it cool down a little bit, find a little spot and push it down. So I'm kind of putting the little cups into the spaces between the flowers, okay, but kind of joining up with the bows. Now 5 seconds ago I said to you, don't use 4 because 4 will make a square. But because of the 3 poinsettias and the bow, do you know that way, I have no option. I've only got 4 spaces, so I've nowhere to put the 5th one. So I'm just going to hold them down there for a second, just to make sure that they settle. Now you might say, what if you hadn't got a glue gun? You could buy a tube of floral glue and it would work. Ordinary glue won't work. Or where I took the sticks off the back of them, you could have left the sticks on and then you could have wired it. So secure the wire around it the same way I secure the wire around the other items. So again, I'll have to fluff out my bow in a minute, but that's what it's looking like with the little cups in it. Now I'm going to go on to our glue, our wired up, do you remember the gold leaf and the gold berry? So I'm going to work around the outside, and that's the thing about these wreaths, okay? They are quite big. And a lot of people, they just keep the decoration in the centre of the wreath. Where what I'm going to do now is I'm going to work around the outside. You can see the way I'm bringing it over the edge of the table. And I'm inserting kind of here the wire on a slant. I'm securing the wires underneath the same way like I was securing it on the poinsettias and on the bow. But just by having this material coming towards the outside, it just makes the wreath that little bit bigger, okay? So the trick is, keep your wreath frame flat on the table like I have there. spin it around as if it was on a turntable. The edge or the space where you want to place the item, have that kind of close to your tummy, do you know that way? And you're sticking the wire kind of in on an angle. Your left hand is finding the wire and securing it up into the base. And that's just giving this nice kind of gold spike around the outside. So between our shades of golds, where we have that creamy gold, we have our rose gold, we have our kind of more old-fashioned gold, and then we have the creams kind of the bow and the creams of the little cups, and in a minute I'll have the creams of the berries. It's going to give lots of textures and lots of shades. So nearly at this stage, so I'm just going to hold it up now just to give you an idea what that's looking like. So see the way that's added a new dimension around the outside. Next, what I want to do, a few more of them, might use them towards the middle, is I'm now going to move on to the cream little berries. And again, around the outside, because this will bring your eye towards the outside with a little bit of cream berry here and there, just complementing, can you see our cream little cups? So this was only one stem, but yet look at the value that I get out of the one stem. I think there was 8 little pieces on it. Now I won't be able to put one in between each one of the golds around the outside, but I'll just divide it up as best I can to get the 8 pieces as divided as evenly around the outside. As I said, it's all about getting textures. And you'll see the way I spin it around on the table, and I'm always working on the side that's closer to my tummy, and that makes it an awful lot easier. Now again, like so far, like that's all coming together. We'll add in our last one, and that's what it looks like with our cream berry going in and out through for texture. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a few of the pine cones. So we'll get our pine cones. I have these wired already. And just down in between the poinsettias and the little cups, I'm just going to add a few little pine cones kind of down through it. Now, if you're doing this at home yourself, you know what I mean, and you're unsure how I wired the pine cones, I do have a close-up video on our YouTube of wiring up pine cones, wiring up lotus heads, wiring up the fruit slices, you know, any of them items there. And you'll be able, it's just where when Deirdre was videoing them, she was able to kind of zoom in close or show it to you from different angles. Well, when we're doing these live classes, and I know you might say, this is not really a live class, well, we can't really adjust the camera when we're doing a live class because obviously we are on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and it's all from different angles. Now again, just to let you see it, can you see the couple of pine cones just dotted through the centre? Now what I want to do is bring a little bit of material, you see towards the middle there, right? So I'm going to bring in a few heads of the pine cones, you know what I mean, towards the middle. But also I have a little bit of that gold left over, you know, the gold leaf that I wired up. So I'm going to bring a little bit of this, there's 3 pieces of it left. So I'm just going to use it up because I have it wired. As I said, it was great value. I got great value by breaking it up, you know, that way. It was definitely much better value than leaving it all as one stem. Well, obviously 2 stems, the stem of gold and the stem of gold berry and the stem of gold leaf. But like on their own, they would have been ideal to use in a flower arrangement. So if you were doing a Christmas flower arrangement and you wanted a little bit of height, they were nice strong stems. All of these items are all available for sale on the Evergreen Silk Plant site. Now when you go on, you'll also see kind of like the same items in maybe different colours, you know that way. So if the cream and the gold is doing nothing for your taste, you can change it for your reds or your greens or your silvers, etc. Just going to give my bow a little bit of a fluff up here, and I'll just let you see what it's looking like so far. Now, when you're watching these live classes, remember this is not a real live, it's a pre-recorded live, but when you're watching these live classes, we always recommend have a notebook and pen and be writing down the material that I'm using. Now, in saying that, if anybody has any questions when they're watching this, even though I'm not live at the moment, is put all your questions in the comments below, and I'll definitely pop on this evening and I'll answer everybody's. Or if you have something at home and you're wondering, well, could I use that instead? Take a photograph of it, put it in the comment underneath, you know what I mean, the photograph of the material, and absolutely I'll respond back to you. So what I'm now adding in is the rose gold, kind of like little bits of glitter fern, which will kind of pick up the colour, can you see, of the poinsettia, but yet it's kind of like nice and textured, and it's also nice and soft, gives this little bit of a lightness. Now this was all one stem. Took me a little bit of time. I think I got about 12 little sprigs out of it, but it worked out great value, and again, it wasn't that expensive. And Evergreen has this in reds, in greens, in silver, and in more that kind of glittery gold, if that's what you prefer. And again, like on its own natural stem, it would have been ideal to use in a flower arrangement. You didn't have to break it up. But I often find when it comes to making door wreaths, especially anybody there that's doing flower arrangements, okay, when you're finished your Christmas flower arrangements, you always end up with little bits left over, you know, little sprigs that you cut off the stem that you didn't use. I always throw them into what we call our bitty box, okay? And then our bitty box, we sit down one of the evenings and we wire and tape up, well, not necessarily tape, but wire up all the little bits that's in the bitty box. And it's amazing what you can actually make, you know, that way, like what kind of creation does a door wreath that you can make using up all our little bits and bobs. Now just see on the table there's one more stem of the Hyperican berry left over. So I just kind of, my eye was drawn to one little spot, so I'm just going to add that in there now. So that is everything used up, okay? So I've used 4 cups, even though I said don't use 4. I glued them in, but you can obviously wire them. I've used 3 of the luxury kind of handmade poinsettias, and he has them in lots of different colours. And over the next couple of weeks, or previous weeks, you'll see me using them in the different colours. I decided to go for kind of the organza kind of buttery colour bow today, rather than glitzy. I used the kind of one stem of this gold leaf, along with one stem of this kind of gold berry, and I wired them and taped them up into little bundles. A couple of natural pine cones, you could spray them if you wished. A couple of the cream Hyperican berry, which I broke up, and the last thing then was the rose gold kind of like glittery fern. So there is our Christmas door wreath, you know, the way, nice and luxurious looking, and again completely different to any of the styles that I've done with you so far. Hope you enjoyed that tutorial. Hope everybody's Christmas plans are coming together. Remember, after Christmas we have our module 1 starting, and also we have a skill neck grant towards it. Now somebody might say, what's a skill neck grant? This is where you get €200 for nothing. So instead of the course costing you 800, it'll only cost you 600 if you're eligible for the skill neck grant. Best thing to do, drop me an email and I'll send you on all the information. Remember, the course is going to be exactly the same. You'll get all your materials sent out to you, you'll get all your fresh flowers, all your foliage, all your containers, your ribbon, your scissors, your knife, everything you require for the class will be sent out to your hall door, literally to your own house. And the only thing that you will have to buy is buckets, because you're going to get this massive box of flowers and foliage delivered, and you'll need buckets to store all the flowers in. Somebody's beeping their horn outside. So if you want more information on getting the skill neck grant, drop me an email, info@kaysflowerschool.com. If you want to see what's covered on module 1, go to the website kaysflowerschool.com. Scroll down the buttons till you see the professional training programs, and in the drop down menu you'll see the details for module 1, 2, 3 or 4. And anyway, it's coming near Christmas, and Christmas means gift vouchers and presents. And do you know that here at Kays Flower School we sell gift vouchers, and we sell them for any amount at all. And for anyone that's watching this at a last minute, listen, we can always email you the voucher that you have the present ready, and we can send you the hard copy in the post. So again, you'll find all our gift vouchers for sale on the website kaysflowerschool.com. Any questions, or if you need an urgency or you need it sent out real fast, get in touch with us here at Kays Flower School, info@kaysflowerschool.com. Thanks a million for watching, and a very happy Christmas everyone.